And I'm watching Colosseum. Wario versus King Knight. Two characters two shoulder bashing platformers whose wacky arsenal are only matched by their wacky personalities. Also really like them. This was actually a fan vote. Thanks for putting together the graphic. Explaining why you did this match, Tulu. This is actually a fan voted match. So, who would win this one, Wario or King Knight, who I've never heard of? I know from Shovel Knight. Yeah.
One place where it truly shines is in its legendary cast of characters.
Yes.
But among the green dinosaurs and space goddesses, one of the residents that stands out above the rest is Mario's self-proclaimed rival,
Wario.
Here we go. Wario first appeared in Mario Land 2 as a greedy thief set on stealing a castle all for his own. Ambitious, no doubt, but personally, if I was going to steal a castle from somebody, I wouldn't choose the guy known for beating up dragons and whose idea of a party is a lot more like a Saw movie than anything else. But to Wario, Koopa stopping plumbers weren't going to stand in the way between him and what he wants most in this world.
Money.
Lots and lots of money. You could say that Wario is something of a born entrepreneur, looking to make money wherever he goes, which even as an infant he did by getting a free ride from Yoshi and waving around a giant magnet to pick up loose change. And this natural-born fixation with wealth would continue well into adulthood for our greedy friend. And as with all true entrepreneurs, Wario has changed jobs a lot. He's had brief stints as a thief and a treasure hunter, and even a game developer, where he was willing to rush out unfinished games full of bugs just to make a quick buck. Which, thank goodness we don't have to deal with that in real life. Wario is also incredibly athletic and physically capable.
Surprisingly.
His sheer strength allows him to shatter bricks by shaking them, destroy huge blocks of stone with a single punch, but even more impressive than that is when he shook the entire area around him with a single punch, mimicking the effects of a magnitude 6.5 earthquake. And while Wario's strength is impressive, it's nothing compared to his dedication and durability. He'll endure just about anything in service of getting gold. We've seen him dive into lava, be burned to a crisp, get frozen, electrocuted, smashed, and he's even withstood a collision from this massive satellite. This thing was hitting Wario so hard, it was like you had nearly 5 nuclear power plants, all dedicated to have their full energy output spread across a square centimeter of his body. And then repeat that for every other square centimeter of his body. As long as there's gold at the end of the rainbow, Wario always seems to find a way to come back.
Yeah.
With his ever-changing jobs and adaptable nature, Wario has been able to unlock multiple different forms, including fire, ice, and thinness. Really though, over the years of searching for treasure, he's
can suck up everything into a vacuum, but the animation is horrifying.
His body reacting to whatever situation he's in,
Spring
he's been
form.
able to survive every time.
Zombie.
When climbing through ice caves and getting pelted with ice, Wario adapted. He became Frozen Wario. While in a volcano, he adapted. He chose to become Flaming Wario. That name did not age well. The more I look at these transformations, the more I feel like Wario is just being affected by these attacks and is adding a name to his body as it's being affected normally by those attacks. But thanks to his massive durability, he's just able to survive. That's just a theory, though. But anyway, while these specific transformations required extreme exposure to extreme and dangerous situations, Wario's fighting capabilities extend far beyond mere adaptation.
Yes.
He has a special staff that grants him access to several other powerful forms. Yearning for adventure and, of course, more gold,
Wario Man is the main contributor.
He set his sights on bigger things and tried new professions with new tools at his disposal. He can become a spaceman with a laser gun, a pirate with a submarine, or a pharmacist that punches people, called Genius Wario. Alright, and if it sounds like I'm listing a lot of different things for Wario, it's because over the years he's really become something of a hoarder, keeping a bunch of different powers and equipments and tools from his different professions and different adventures. With all these different experiences and abilities, Wario is an absolute tank in a fight. And while he ain't the sharpest tool in the shed, he's one of the bravest people that you'll ever meet.
Yes.
Wario doesn't think about a situation before he runs in. No, that's far too small-minded for our greedy businessman. Instead, he runs headfirst into the fray, charging down enemies and reminding himself that with garlic, anything is possible.
Yes.
What I hope this is painting for you all here is that Wario has had a weird history. Starting off as an invader, becoming a greedy anti-hero, then a video game developer, and a whole bunch of other things. The most impressive part, though, is that somehow all of this works, and it makes him an incredibly memorable character. He's a weird, adaptable, smelly entrepreneur, but he's our weird, adaptable, smelly entrepreneur. Someone who manages to bring a lovable sort of charm with all of his hateable characteristics.
Yes.
This sort of disgusting lovability, along with his amazing ingenuity, that's made Wario such an icon in modern-day gaming. Now let's see how he stacks up to his opponent, King Knight. Kings can come from
I've never heard of King Knight, so I wouldn't know.
pull a sword out of a stone,
But I know
some
Warrior's
are
pretty
born into the
slow.
role, and others take it by force.
Warrior's max
Enter
speed is
the world
24 miles
of
per hour.
Valley, where an enchantress was seeking out the most capable and skilled warriors in the land to aid her cause. From mad alchemists to undead reapers to the focus of today's video, King Knight. This proud, cocky, self-proclaimed king of rats in his faraway land, basement, had a dream. He would look out the window of his childhood home and see the people working the land and the rats running through it and thought, yeah, I could totally be king of this place. And his mother was supportive of her little pumpkin pauldron prince. She stood by his side as King Knight endeavored to become king over all the land, which involved killing, pillaging, and overthrowing the current monarchy. Good job, Mom. But just like anyone rising to power, King Knight needed a starting point. And after looking through different ways that he could become king, one title in particular caught his eye. King of Cards. One could win this title by becoming the champion of the card game Joustus, a simple game that required pushing, pulling, and cheating your way to the top, which honestly sounds like incredibly relevant practice for somebody looking to take political office. So he began to travel the land in an effort to grow his territory and become the Joustus champion, challenging anybody that he possibly could to a game of cards to gain enough practice to eventually topple the 3 Joustus judges, sitting between him and his throne. But Joustus aside, King Knight's journey wasn't all fun and games. He found his life in peril numerous times, from ghosts to flying jellyfishes to skeletons and even frogs, which is giving me flashbacks to Don't Starve Together. But King Knight, never one to back down from his goals, was not dismayed. He faced his new enemies head-on with nothing but his shoulder and a killer pirouette to defend himself. King Knight charged forth at his enemies with shoulder bashes, spinning around with parkour, and destroying almost everything in his path.
He's not as deadly
On
as
the rare
Shovel Knight then.
occasion that King Knight needed a little extra help, he had his remarkable items called heirlooms by his side, which he was able to buy from powerful NPCs.
Those could be problems for Wario.
King Knight had to prove himself as being capable of wielding them effectively by completing a challenge level using nothing but the heirloom. Afterward, King Knight would show off his impressive proficiency for diplomacy by convincing every one of those NPCs to join his retinue and serve him. And he's met some real, colorful characters along the way. For example, the traitorous servant to the past king, Traitorous, gives King Knight the turncoat ability that allows him to turn any projectile into an energy-based attack and return it to sender. You know, if the last king knowingly hired somebody named Traitorous and then got betrayed, that's kind of on him. But
That could be a problem for Wario.
extend far beyond just his coat. He's also met an enthusiastic evangelist for a giant applefish that gives him the bubble frog ability, allowing him to float through the air. His Scepter of Swiftness allows him to dash so quickly that he glides over water, and his Scorching Saber is a fire sword that can launch waves of flames toward his enemies. Despite
Now,
King
Fire
Knight's
Wario.
title of king being mostly self-imposed, King Knight did eventually find loyal subjects, who supported him and followed him on his journey as well. He was able to convince several different legitimate kings to join his quest, and he managed to attract attention everywhere he went, slowly gaining more and more support for his royal ambitions. And really, what good is a king without loyal subjects? Especially useful ones. For example, King Knight can summon forth some of his faithful griffin subjects to attack, or bring forth healers to patch him up in a battle. But even after he gained somewhat of a following,
No outside help
King
allowed.
Knight never truly forgot about his original subjects.
This is a one-on-one.
He frequently summons his rats to pick him up, fly him around, or bomb his enemies for
No
him,
outside help
saving
allowed.
their lives so that their king might live. Subjects aside, though, King Knight found himself a new power along his journey as well. When all seemed lost, he found that all he really needed was a good, nice, cathartic cry. Literally. It turns out that his tears have healing powers, and if King Knight gets seriously injured, a few tears can heal him right up and keep him going. And when he does get in over his head, he's capable of taking a lot of punishment. In spite of his armor appearing to be made out of gold, both it and King Knight are pretty durable. He's been able to withstand cannonballs that are capable of destroying airships, and he's withstood the collapse of the entire Tower of Fate. So with these followers and strength and durability behind him, King Knight continued his adventure and managed to defeat every other member of the Enchantress's chosen warriors, eventually arriving upon the fabled Tower of Fate in his journey, and even besting the Enchantress herself, eventually finally receiving all he wanted, an offer to rule the land as a true king. The catch, though, was that in exchange for the crown, he must abandon anyone who's ever supported him. And as King Knight looked at the potential of being king versus the friends that he made along the way, he realized what was really important to him all along. Being king. Yeah, he totally lived up to the reputation of his old pal Traitorous and totally took up the offer to become king. And in the end, he got all that he ever aspired to be. But he was lonely and left by himself to bask in his glory. All of his friends, all of his subjects, and even his own mother had totally lost respect for him and left him by himself to wait for anybody bold enough to challenge his throne. But with that said, it's time for our fight. If you'd like to see some early works of progress and help keep our series alive, consider checking out Patreon or YouTube membership. Each video takes us hundreds of hours to make as a team.
that Warrior's gonna win this. Oh, this is Luigi versus King Boo.
So your support really helps keep us going.
This is Mario versus Sonic here was.
Look at our fight and see who will take the crown in this round of Crossover Colosseum.
Ooh. I don't think Warrior's gonna win this. I think Warrior's gonna lose right now. Unless Warrior, because somebody uses his abilities to win this fight. It won't be easy at all. Insolent peasant. What do you think you're doing on top of my throne? Having your face in the dirt suits you peasants like you. You don't know who you're fighting, buddy. Warrior's no peasant. He is pretty strong, surprisingly. I think the only way we're gonna win this by durability or his abilities that he has. Need a lesson, loser? Oh shit! All right. He can send a projectile back. He just want that gem. He's got so much bullshit. You can destroy my castle walls. You can ride a metallic steed. Nothing but one rat deserves the grovel on the feet of their true king.
Who do you think you are? Challenge for me? You? I'm not scared.
This is maybe Warrior's win, actually. Did Wario just win?
And there you go.
Good job, Wario.
It's a battle of greed in more ways than one. Not only would Wario want to take all of King Knight's money for himself, but he also seemed to be hoarding all of the best stats for himself.
Oh.
Taking a look at their best offensive and defensive feats side by side.
Offensive? Yeah, that goes to Wario by a mile. Punching through stone, destroying tons of steel pipes. So tough fate collapse. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, Wario kicked his ass in defense and plus in defense.
It really shows that there's just nothing that King Knight could have done. He did have a sizable speed advantage,
Charger levels,
but
dodging
that
cannonballs.
was really about it. And that singular advantage really didn't mean too much with how outclassed he was here. He may have been able to land a few attacks on Wario, but it just wasn't anywhere near where it would have needed to be meaningful to hurt him.
Yeah.
This is only compounded when looking at the huge arsenal that Wario has access
Yes.
to. It's just chock full of things that King Knight has never really had to deal with. At the end of the day, Wario had his choice of a bunch of different ways that he would be able to take the throne from King Knight, but King Knight was basically left with not a single win condition. Wario is the winner, and we'll be moving on to the next round of Crossover Colosseum. Hey, editing ink.
Oh.
You can tell from all the energy in my eyes and my computer screen that I've been editing. I said the wrong outro. Wario does win, but he's not moving on to the next round because this is not a tournament. This is not Smash Bracket.
Nope.
So there's nothing to move on to. So yeah, Wario wins.
That's the second win for Wario. Congratulations, my dude. Sephiroth and Wario won both matches they've been in, but then again, Sephiroth actually had harder opponents than Wario did. Wario had a kid, and he had a knight that just got kind of roasted. But anyway, great job, Ink. I really like this video.
Next time on Crossover Colosseum trailer, I don't know what it's gonna be.
Overall, I think that this animation deserves a really good 9 out of 10. Overall, because like this animation was really flawless. It showed lots of new stuff about Wario that I didn't know what happened actually. Like the Wario like the Professor Warrior, those that kind of stuff. I don't think I've ever seen them before in games. Like me, I played lots of Warrior Land games and know the vehicles and that kind of stuff like that. But some of the other stuff like Warrior, like kind of stuff that was short in this one, you covered lots of different stuff for him, which is pretty amazing. Great job overall. See you next time.